this record on the computer button when you click the more.
Okay, so we are now recording. Okay, so welcome guys. Today our agenda is to come up with a form, a walkthrough form that will help us to really be able to help our teachers and our administrators kind of work together to develop our teachers, because that's what a walkthrough form really is for. Here's our agenda. So we're going to first introduce everyone. Can everyone see the agenda? Okay. So first we're going to introduce everyone. So everyone will introduce themselves. And then we're going to talk about what a walkthrough is, the purpose of it. Then we're going to talk about the process of what I would like to see a walkthrough really look like at our school. And then we'll talk about the components that we want to encase into the walkthrough. And then we'll end it with our vision on what we really want this to look like. Okay. And then I will be putting it together, and then we will then be able to relook at it at another date. Okay. So why don't we start off with everyone introducing themselves. As you can see on the agenda, just do it in the order. So Mr. Perdon.
Good morning. Did you want any other information other than our name?
Just who you are and what you teach.
Okay. I am Aljo Perdon, and I teach science at Morton Ranch High School.
Fabulous.
I am Haley Spitzenberger, née Balser, and I teach biology at Morton Ranch High School.
I am Carrie Smith, and I also teach biology at Morton Ranch High School.
I'm Brianne Grossman. I also teach science at Morton Ranch High School.
Angela Gerard, a special education teacher at Morton Ranch High School.
I'm Jennifer Kim. I'm the science instructional coach at Morton Ranch High School.
All right, and I am Jennifer Dwyer. I'm the principal at Morton Ranch High School. Okay, so the purpose of our walkthroughs really is an evaluation tool. It's a tool for us to be able to observe within 5 to 15 minutes of our teachers, and really to help to be able to develop them. We want to be able to, the purpose of a walkthrough is to help our teachers to help with instructional delivery. So how they're delivering their lesson, their instructional management, how are they managing the kids and how is it working, and then their instructional needs. So as we think about our walkthrough forms, we want to think about a place where we can actually put something so we can write where our deficits are, what we need to improve for the teacher to help them. Now, what's important is for us to understand really the process, because I think in the past we haven't really seen a process that really works. To me, what really is going to make a walkthrough work great is when a principal can talk to their teachers. We get our walkthrough so many times and we don't actually get enough information to be able to fix what they're seeing or to help us to develop our skills a little bit further. It's only, they tell us observed, not observed, and it's kind of like, well, what did you really see? What did you really get? Okay, and what can I work on? Because just because you didn't see technology doesn't mean that that's something I need to work on. You just missed it at that one spot. So, and I really think it's important that we do more than just 2 walkthroughs in a year. I think it's very important so that teachers and principals have better rapport, and that we really focus, and what I really want to focus on is helping to fix the learning and work on the learning and not the teaching. Okay, how are our kids learning? Are they learning what they need to learn? Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we are going to kind of talk amongst us. So we're going to collaborate about what we would like to see on forms and and then we'll go from there. Okay. What we're gonna do is we'll try to talk. I know it can kind of get a little bit with everyone talking at one time, but let's start with Haley, since she is our youngest teacher. It's her first year. And so Miss Haley, as a new teacher, what are some things you would like to see to help you to become a better teacher on walkthroughs?
I feel like having constructive criticism would be the best way. So on a form, it's not, as you said, necessarily like, yes, I did this, or no, I didn't do this. I don't think it's as black and white as the forms are made to be. And so I think that I would like constructive criticism. Like, I saw this some of the time, not all of the time. This is how you can work to better that, is what I would want to see.
Okay, and we will go in the order. Miss Carrie, you are our next veteran, yeah.
I don't like on the forms that we currently have, if they didn't see it, which can be a lot of the areas, depending on what type of what I'm doing that day. So if I want feedback on 5 different things, but she didn't see it, then there's nothing. There should be more of what their expectations are for us to help with those forms.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion, because maybe the 5 things I really wanted to know about weren't seen. I don't know.
All right, Miss Gerard, Angela Gerard.
I kind of like what Carrie said. I want them to be able to focus in on specific things that I think maybe I need to work on, and see if I'm doing those well in the room, or if I'm not doing it appropriately.
Okay. So you guys would like to see more pre-observation, maybe, where they actually do ask you what you would like for someone, have a section of, these are the things I would like you to check on, or, am I working, are these things working in the classroom?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Bree.
Kind of similar along those lines. I do like having more constructive, other than yes or no, was it observed? Because then 2 times a year is not a lot at all. Most of the stuff gets missed, or like your lesson is just not conducive to most things, like most technology or groups. So it's kind of just a boring day they happen to walk in on. Well, that's not going to help me for the rest of the year. But yeah, if we definitely like have some sort of, I guess, more communication, like if we know we have, like, we've already had our full observation, well, maybe we can try to implement some of those things mentioned there, and then they can come back and check on those few things to see if we are able to improve on that, or if we're still struggling, just need help. Right? Or maybe we just didn't notice we didn't have that.
Okay. So a follow-up part of the form. Okay. All right, Aljo.
So I think we all recognize how, like the pragmatic stuff about the process is that it's very difficult for our appraisers to be able to observe us, the necessary amount to be, that way those observations are representative as possible of how we are as educators. So if we can have a form that maximizes their visits, that way the questions are set up to where they can hit as many variables as possible, but at the same time they can be flexible in a way that through pre-meetings and post meetings, or pre-observation and post-observation meetings, can be used to you know, to fill in the blanks, if you will. So mostly a good form and would make for a better observation, and therefore at the end it'll be more beneficial to most of us.
Okay. All right, and Jennifer. Kim.
I guess my viewpoint would be a little bit different.
That is why you are here.
It's because now I can see both sides, you know, having taught and being evaluated, and then not that I'm evaluating anybody, but going in, because you see so many things that sometimes it's hard to focus on. Like I guess I always go in with a goal, like what am I looking for that particular day or that 15-minute window. So maybe what could be helpful is, because there are so many things to look at, maybe, because I looked at the forms that you sent out and some of them are very specific. So maybe it could be related to whatever your T-test goal or your SLO goal could be for that particular year. So if your goal is to increase student engagement, then maybe they should focus a little bit more on looking at student engagement. I know it's kind of hard with the whole T-test stuff, but would that be more beneficial? Because if I, as a teacher, if that is what my personal goal is for the year, to increase student engagement, then I would appreciate feedback more geared towards that. And then if I'm walking in and I'm observing, then if I don't see technology, then, you know, I might make a little mark, didn't see it, but it's not a huge deal. But I'm more focused on what is the percentage of the students that are actively working or responding, you know, things like that. Or maybe your goal is power zone. So then the appraiser can kind of focus on that a little bit more when they do their walkthroughs or their full whatever. And I don't know, I think that would benefit the teachers more if whatever they're looking for aligns with whatever your particular goal is for that year. And then next year is going to be different, you know, because you could choose to either continue working on that goal, or you're like, you know what, I feel pretty good with what happened this year, so now I'm going to work on something else, or I would like to see my students do something else. So I'm wondering if that may help. I don't know, maybe not in terms of like your full 45, you know, PDOS, whatever thing that you have to do, but in terms of those 15-minute walkthroughs, like honestly, how much do we really see realistically happening within that 15-minute window in one semester? But if it's very specific, maybe it'll be more helpful.
Yeah. So I was looking at our TAPR, which is our performance data, and one of the things that kept popping out, and I thought, you know, with all of the information that you guys were given, something that would be is honing in, is focusing on one particular, because if their walkthroughs focus on our main goal, you know, our main goal for our school is literacy. It's really, I feel like we need to step it up in our questions, because if you look at, let me just show you some data that I was looking at. You know, in our school, when you look at data, we're really good. Everybody is seeing this, right? Okay. We're great on, so this is the data from year 18-19, okay? And let me just, okay. So this is where I'm really looking. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, get off. Get off. Okay. All right. Well, I can't. I'll just have to move it down. So we're really good. You know, I would say our kids are very good at meeting or at approaching grade level. So you see that we're like 70 for our English, 86 for algebra, 93. But what we seem to struggle our most with is when we get down to these bottom numbers. So like at, you know, meets grade level, masters. So what I was thinking too is if our observations didn't gear so much towards what they're seeing per se, but what they're hearing and what they're seeing, they're hearing from the students. That would help all of us, I think, a little bit more with what you're talking about, especially getting that follow-up feedback and getting stuff that would help us, because it doesn't help us for them to say, oh, I didn't see you have technology out for the day. But if they can come back and say, you know, I saw great conversations going on, you know, the level of questioning and things were up there. So I think too, that might be something. I was thinking that it would be more generic, a broader focus. I'm not so specific, but pretty much focusing more on what the students were doing and not so much what the teacher was doing. Because I think what the students are doing is what really focuses on us. What do you guys think about that as well? Unmute, talk.
I like that, because if the students aren't engaged and the students aren't participating and having those conversations, then you can't successfully rate what the teacher is doing.
Uh-huh. What do you guys think?
I think I'm gonna go back to, you know, again, that form, you know, so like some of the examples that you gave us, they're very specific, and it's a lot easier for the questions or the check boxes are set up where the appraiser can easily, you know, check a box to see if the students are talking to each other with, you know, regards to content, or if the teacher is using technology or whatnot. Because some of the other forms were, you know, like they were set up in longer phrases and sentences, and, you know, if you're in a 15-minute to 30-minute window, how are you going to read through that and then be able to observe that in the class with a sufficient enough thought and time, and for it to be beneficial to the teacher? So yes, you're right. I agree. The student's performance is a good reflection, but we need to make sure to help the appraisers be able to help us through having a good form.
So are you saying more of a, so kind of like check boxes, but then having space underneath for them to be able to explain, I guess?
Yes, I think with the walkthroughs, I really liked the first one, walkthrough number 1, and then I believe walkthrough number 6 also, because yeah, there's it's easier to read through and be able to check boxes, but also it leaves room for comments and, you know, the other subjective stuff.
Oh, it's not letting me bring it up. Let's see if I can exit full. No, I don't want to exit the meeting.
Yeah, and in all of those, I think walkthrough number 2, I thought that's the one that caught my eye. That was more difficult for the appraiser.
Okay. I was trying to bring up them. I seem to not be able to bring up those forms right now, but I do. Okay, so you liked. Can anyone bring those up? Does anyone have those?
Let me try. Hang on.
I'll give you access.
Yeah, just to add on to what Aljo was saying, I agree. I was thinking the same thing, because the check boxes make it very easy for the appraiser, because when you're trying to write and observe, that's really challenging. But the check, that way, as you know, they'll remember, like, oh, okay, so I checked this. Why did I check this? Oh, this is why. And then being able to write comments, or, you know how we always say, what's the evidence? Like, why did you pick that? If the appraiser could write down, well, not that I checked this box, but the reasoning next to why they checked that box. You know, why did you score? I don't want to say score high or low, but why did they find that you know, the students are doing this or not doing this based on what they observed.
Okay. Anyone else have things they want to add?
I was just gonna say that I agreed with Aljo, and then for when I looked at form number 2, I thought that that would be, again, like he said, hard for the appraiser to see in one, but then I also thought that that form wasn't that thorough, and so I didn't necessarily like that form because I didn't feel like it was it would show anything really.
Okay.
I do have all the forms up on my computer right now.
Okay.
But yeah, form number 2 is all about, it's very subjective. It's like, was the pacing correct? Like, how can you tell that in 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I did like form number 1 though, how it was organized into sections. So really quickly, was a objective on the board. Awesome, good. Now they can move on to something better. But I think it was number 4. It had more of how the teacher was reacting to the lesson and the students versus did they group the students or was it individual work, that kind of thing, which I feel like most of the forums focused on. Like how exactly was the class designed versus how was a lesson being actually modified, I guess, to the students.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the,
Okay.
are the students truly learning or is it just a teacher going through the motions to get all the check boxes?
Okay, so is this one Pradhan? Is everyone seeing this? Okay. Pradhan, you're muted. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, this is the one I really liked was walkthrough number 2, where it's it's a lot shorter. What you observe, you can just do check marks and then make comments, and then I think number 6 also.
Is this 2 you said, or is this 1?
This is 2. Hang on. What did I want to do? No, I like number 1. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is
number
1.
Yeah, I don't like number 2.
Okay.
Yeah, this one's a little too subjective, and let me go back. How do I go back? I have to move everyone.
This is a lot different than passing out papers and marking and.
Yes. Okay, so 1 is right here. Oh, I lost it. Yep, here's number 1.
Okay.
And again, it's like, little check marks. And that's, I was going through them in order. So again, number 1 I liked, but I think what I write down here, number 6 was the one I had the little spaces for interpretation, which I'm gonna go to number 6 if I can. And it is rotated right here. Right. So here are the little places where you can do check marks, and then there's little comments, that you can write down a little easier.
I liked this one too, mainly because there were a lot of kind of what we really want to, as administrators, we really want that corrective feedback. All of the stuff that's in there, I would definitely, I think the content area, I think that could be removed. For sure, the reading and math, I think making that more, maybe that being the objective area to where, is the objective there, maybe they can put in the objective, but is it present? Is it visible? Putting that there instead of the reading and math. What do you guys think?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of uncluttering would help with that. But as far as the main body, that's the part I liked about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep clicking.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry, that was me. I was like, oh, yeah.
I like that, what you said, Jen, about the objective part. And then I also liked what Jennifer said earlier, is that it has check marks, but then it has the comments for later. So exactly what Alja was saying. I think that is a good thing to have.
Okay.
All right, let me know if you want me to get off the sharing.
No, it's fine right now. Does anyone else have other feedback about this form and what we can do to kind of bring it to, or anything else?
I just wanted to add, I want to go back to what Jennifer Kim was saying. It's also good to have those specific targeted forms. Like I think walkthrough 3, 4, and 5 were like that. Like this one's about scaffolded practice. This one's about differentiation.
Uh-huh.
So those are also good. I like those if we're trying to be more specific about what the targeted with the appraisal.
Uh-huh. And I think down the road, I think having ones that gear towards, like Jennifer said, gear towards their personal objective, especially when you're walking in. And maybe that's what we can do on this one form that we have. Maybe we do have a place for their personal objective so that before your administrator comes in, they've written down what your goal is or been able to type it in, and then they can key in on what they saw that pertained to that goal, if they did, so that they can actually, that could help us with focusing on our T-test goal. What do you guys think?
That sounds good. Or like even making like a sub form of the generic walkthrough. Now you can target, have like, if they did a check mark for differentiation, then you can go to that form real quick and, do just a few quick check marks and you're done. Mm-hmm. It's a little more tedious, but it has everything there then for each teacher.
Yeah.
Like an own teacher IEP.
I really do think, I don't think it would be hard if we added something in for a section of T-test goal, and then maybe before they do, I know we want walkthroughs to be spur of the moment kind of thing. We don't want them to be like, hey, I know that someone's going to come through my door, because you really don't get the true essence of the classroom when you're throwing up a dog and pony show, and teachers are very easily able to show other things. So,
well, I was another thing I thought about, the importance of having the form being easier for the appraisers to use, is that, it just reminded me when you mentioned walkthroughs are usually more, what do you call this? I guess representative if they weren't arranged, and like the dog and pony show, like you said. If the forms are set up where they don't have to ask the students what they're doing, they don't have to interact with anybody in the room, and they'll be able to just go in as and not be a distraction whatsoever, the smallest distraction possible, and that'll help everyone out.
You know, I was thinking too, maybe when we have our goal meetings, so when you meet with me or my other assistant principals, we talk about what your goal is, and then that is the key that I come in. When I come in, I already know what it is. So you tell me what your key things are for the year. Like I really want to work on my questioning for my students and the wait time, and then I can put that down. And then, so maybe that's what I put in that box is the things that you specifically said, hey, when you do come through your walkthroughs. So instead of knowing when you're going to come, at least I know that that's what you're going to observe. You know what I'm saying? To help me out so that let's say my big thing is I want, to help me with my big goal is how I ask my questions. So that maybe when you do walk in and you see that, you can, hey, I saw you asking questions, that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, as far as ultimate goal of it being, again, it's like the appraisers probably don't want to have too many visits too much, but at the same time, make each visit productive. I think that's, yeah, and I think when they told us we were going to have pre-observation, pre-observation meetings, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
To make sure, we set expectations.
Okay. All right. Anything else? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together what we have talked about, kind of blending the two, having spots for, checks, making sure that we do have a spot for the objective, is the objective present, and then also a place for the objective of the teacher, that you will have preset prior to, you preset at the beginning of the year with your administrator, your appraiser. So at the beginning of the year, when you talk about your goals, we can talk about what we want to see through our walkthroughs. And then once I get all of that together, I will send the form out to you guys, and then we can, you guys can highlight and kind of change or make suggestions about what needs to change, and then we will finish it up that way. Anything else we'd like to add, or any other?
I was thinking adding a spot where you can look for what is it, like if students were given opportunity to show that they checks for understanding for the kids, like so yes, it's important for us to have objectives, but how do we know as teachers that our students met the objective for the day? Do they even know what the objective is, right? And I think if there's a section for that, then as teachers, then we think we're going to be more aware, like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm not just concerned about getting through the material for the day and using all of these strategies, but what good are the strategies in the lesson if at the end of the day the kids go, I can't answer that objective, right? So like checks for understanding or formative assessment, maybe like a little section, because I was looking through all those forms, especially if it's supposed to be a full period observation, and you don't.
These are just walkthrough. This is just a walkthrough form.
Oh, these are just walkthroughs. Yep. So this is not like
No, this is not a big. This is just between a 5 to 15 minutes walkthrough for what they see.
Okay. All right.
But I think too, I mean, maybe if there is maybe a small section that's tied in with the objective, maybe there's a small section of, how, if seen, how are the students being asked, or
like showing mastery or understanding
processing.
Of the, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it depends on what the particular objective is being that's the targeted observation, then maybe during whatever post observation meeting, then there's the expectation that the teacher has to show evidence of mastery during that meeting, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're saying when they do come back for their post conference,
Yes.
they could show their overall how they mastered it.
Right. That's the expectation is set that that is an expectation that of student, some evidence of mastery.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anyone else have questions?
I was actually thinking, we keep wanting feedback as teachers to help us. Is there a way to put a section or discuss like how, instead of just a simple checkbox, like how effective it is, not just putting a comment like what we did, but like you're saying the objectives, did the students actually know about the objective? Like, was it effective just having on the board? Or was the teacher checking for understanding? Yes, I asked, oh, great, do we understand, guys? Okay, cool, let's move on. Was it actually effective that we did that? Not just was it observed?
Okay.
I'm not sure how to implement that though, rather than just saying, hey, write about that in the comments versus very generic.
Okay. All right. Okay. I will try.
I have something.
Yeah.
A lot of people, the older teachers that have done this longer, probably have more goals that aren't class management or what are kids understanding. It's more data flowing. What's my data looking like? That's not something you're going to see in a walkthrough or a 45-minute even. So, I mean, every one of these forms has great pieces, but if you took them all, took pieces from each one and made one, which way is better for, like Jennifer Kim would know, which way is easier to do a walkthrough, something that's going, a check mark going down portrait wise or something going horizontal. Or, I mean, it's just, there's just so many good things in all of these, but not one of them is perfect. And if you're going with a goal that you're never going to see, then knowing the goal isn't going to help. So then what does the form need to look like then? Because you're not going in looking for their goal. It's not going to be there. I don't know, just a thought.
Okay. So I guess, we want it to gear towards what, maybe our over-encompassing goal would be. Which is really how the kids, I guess, how they learn. Well, Ms. Smith, you just opened up a can of worms there.
Depending on the overall goal, it might be difficult to implement, but you can always break it down to slightly easier sections. Like we're on data analysis or something like that. Well, you can always do like, were they interpreting something, or were they having to think at a different level than what, that original question or picture was showing? Like there is small little checkpoints to build up to the big goal. But if if we're all talking about data and we're just, mixing food coloring together, that's not showing anything, right? Unless they actually did some sort of analysis of it at the end, which then, yeah, they actually were analyzing, they were trying to get to that point. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to break it down very simply, which it might be hard to see. I'm guessing as an observer, if you don't know the true goal or how it's going to be implemented in the classroom. Because not every little thing, but our lessons, if we're trying to make an ultimate goal, they should be focused around that goal already. Right?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like that's the whole reason why we have the goal in planning lessons, right? In order to test for it.
Okay.
So, should be there, but might be hard to see.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have other things? All righty. Okay, so I will put together I'll work on getting this together, and then I will send it out to you guys, and we can then go through and see if it meets all the criteria that we've talked about. You know, if we've hit the goals that we want to hit, and then we'll move forward from there. So, all right. So I'm going to say, I'm going to stop the video and